Hello, Annabelle. You can just call me Dave. My full name is David Willson. But Dave, I prefer Dave.
I heard it's Mr. Wilson, in fact.
AKA Mr. Wilson. Just depends who you're talking to.
Dave Willson has been described as the quintessential Aussie bloke, a true character who absolutely loves a chat.
I think if you follow your passions, life will always be good to you. Some people follow the dollar, but I'm a great believer that if you follow the passion, the dollar, it's like the pound and the penny. The dollar will always look after itself, yeah. That's my belief. I've met some quite highly educated idiots, but, every village needs one. One with a degree's even better.
You may know him as the bloke who runs Clare Valley Tours, but he has lived quite a full life before transporting tourists around. He's been a wall classer, excavation contractor, the resident grave digger, and a private wool buyer. In this episode, you'll learn all about a Mungindi shandy, Dave's recreational flying escapades, because, of course, he also flies a plane, and the time he accidentally dug a grave in the wrong spot. But it's also quite insightful, especially when he reflects on his wool buying days and his relationships with farmers and his vision for Clare Valley tourism. Enjoy the journey with Mr. Dave Willson.
I'm a Clare boy. I came to Clare in my mother's womb, actually, and Dick and Dot were my parents. Dick and Dot Wilson, they were the first vets to come to Clare, and they were the first vets north of Gawler, way back in the late 1950s.
Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got one older brother, twin sisters, and another little sister under that, so there's 5 of us, all scattered far and wide now. Got a little sister over in Holland, one sister here, Annie, physio. Sister Jane, her twin, is down in the Barossa Valley. And Brother Roberts, he's over in the Riverland at the moment. Yeah.
So did anyone follow your parents' footsteps and
No.
get into the vet game?
No. Quite simply, no. No, well, we heard Latin every night, both parents talking about their cases during the day, and skipped me, but it did go to my daughter, that scientific gene. So my second daughter, Nikki Lee, she has a doctorate in animal science.
So what was family life like, childhood life like in Clare back in those days? And what era are we talking about?
We grew up in the 1960s. I'm a 58er. Some will say that we were little mongrels, but I prefer the term free range. and Mum and Dad were both busy, extremely busy people. We had a lady, Maura, she used to come around and help in the house, and with us kids, kept us in line. Maura was the boss. But, we grew up with ponies and, there was dogs and cats. It was a menagerie. So it was always interesting. We also grew up as, we were seconded as vet nurses. So there was, a big gruff farmer would come in and, I can handle this, I can do that. And the next thing he's on the floor. And one little story with Mum was, she lanced a boil on a little dog, on a sheepdog. And the big farmer, 6'4", down he went, and he was stuck against the door. And Mum was only little. That was it. That was a bit of a problem getting this fella out of the way. And an Neath-sized dog on the table and a prostrate guy on the floor. It was, which one do I fix? So, she tended to the dog first. He was all right.
To clarify that. Did your parents stay in the Clare Valley? Did they retire here as well?
They're buried here. So
They're buried here?
Yes, they stayed.
They stayed.
Dad was from Kangaroo Island and Mum was from Dubbo. And Mum went through, I'm not quite sure what year it was. It was the late 40s, early 50s, 1950s. If you look at a veterinary intake now, it'll be 100% or 98% women going through. In that day, it was reversed. Mum was, I think, one of 2 or 3 that went through the intake of 100.
Wow.
So, she was a pioneer in her own right.
So they met at vet school?
Yes. Mum was a bit older. She was a cougar.
Were you close with your parents?
I think as close as every other family. It was just a normal family. There was a lot of huffing and puffing, and there was a lot of expectation too back in the day. But I don't think it was any different to any other family. It was good. We had a good childhood.
You did all your schooling in Clare?
No. I was
okay.
sent off to college and third term grade 7. And I went down there, and academia and I didn't mix.
Where did you go to school?
Scotch. Yeah, I went out to the... Yeah, it's a wonder I haven't got a plum in my mouth, actually. But they were good days. It's when you left home, actually. When you were sent to boarding school is when you left home.
So you would have been 12, 11, 12?
Yep, 12 years old. Terribly homesick when I first went down. And then one of my good reports was that I spent more time trying to get out of my schoolwork than actually doing it. And so it obviously stuck. But I was meant to do other things, not academia. So.
Did you go right through to grade 12?
No. I finished at leaving, which is year 11, I think it is now. Then I went back and I did wool classing. So Dad's parents were off the land, as were Mum's, but Dad's parents they were heavily involved in merino wool, running a bungaree line actually, Lincoln Green on Penny-Shaw and Kangaroo Island. I don't know, I had this affiliation, not affiliation, that's the wrong word, draw card into the something in agricultural, and I like sheep and I like wool, and I went back and I did that. So that was the start of the wool career. What
was it like cracking into the wool game back in those days?
Oh, look, that was easy. That was really easy. I had a classes ticket, and we had to, part of the wool classes course was to go off into shearing sheds working. So you just had to ring a contractor. You had a job, and it didn't matter where it was. And, I found myself in Western Australia, and I went away for a trip with a mate once. We were going to go to Queensland for a month, and he'd had a girlfriend in Adelaide, the lure of a woman. We ended up back in Adelaide 6 days after we left. We got to Brisbane and then expressed back to Adelaide, well, I've got to go, he said, I've got to go. And on the way back, we stopped at Broken Hill on a Saturday morning, and I applied for a job with Grascos. And they were shearing contractors. And I found myself at Mungindi on the Queensland border on Tuesday morning.
Wow.
So, turned around and went straight back up. And that's where I had my first Mungindi shandy.
Oh, what's in a Mungindi shandy?
Well, I was 17 years old. The voice was squeaky. And these guys, they decided they were going to set me up a little bit. So, do you remember the old tin pannikins? Used to get it? Oh, they were great big enamel mugs. And you get a half pint one or a pint one.
Oh, my dad had those.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was a big pint one, and I'd never drunk dark beer. So they poured a tin of Tooheys dark ale in Tooheys Old, and then they filled it up with McWilliams Royal Reserve port. Oh, yeah, it was a good one. It was good. I only needed one. It was good fun. It was good fun. But the shearing sheds, they were great fun. They were great levellers for young kids. We learnt to boarding house did that as well, but learning to work with men and other people and having to do your job, and a rouseabout in a wool classer, didn't matter what job you did in the shed, you were at the beck and call of the shearers. They set the pace. Mm-hmm. And it's still true today. If they wanted to work really hard, you worked hard. If they went slow, you just trotted along. So it was an interesting place. Saw a lot of country.
Apart from Mungindi, where else did you travel?
Down into Armidale, back of Broken Hill, north of Broken Hill, Western Australia, Ravensthorpe, then up into the wheat belt, down into that southwest corner, lower Queensland. Yeah, no, it was good.
I can imagine you'd work hard and play hard.
You did, and it's interesting, you travel back into that country now and you think, why didn't I go and see that when I was here? But, there was always something else to do. I was only a teenager at the time. Yeah.
I was going to ask you how old you were.
Yeah, so 17 through to about 20 I did that. So then I'd come home for a stint, then I'd go away again. Yeah, it was good.
So 17 to 20. So what did you do after your wool classing experience?
I came back to Clare. I didn't know quite what I was going to do, and I managed to get a job with SC Heinrich & Co.
And why did you leave wool classing?
Ended up with SC Heinrich & Co. to drive trucks for a harvest.
Okay.
And I stayed there for 4 years.
So that wasn't the plan?
So, no, it wasn't. There was never a plan as such. To be quite honest, I didn't really know where I was going or what I was doing. But I got that job, and then when I was at school, people used to say to me, what are you going to do when you leave? And I'd say, I don't know, but I'll be self-employed. So working with Heinrichs, that exposed me to trucks and earth moving. And from there, I kept looking around and wondering where there was an opening. So I bought a skid steer loader when I was 26. That was the start of my self-employed life. That was the first skid steer loader or bobcat to come into the Clare Valley. There are a dime a dozen now. Everyone's got one. We'll get a bobcat in.
So you're self-taught, obviously, as well. No one's ever taught you how to operate machinery.
Oh, Heinrichs gave me I did my apprenticeship there, but when I got a skid steer, they were a different beast altogether. And, so I self-taught, yeah.
Good
And
on
then, of course I can do that job. Of course I can. Bluff your way through some of them until you got such times you've got a bit of confidence to take more on. And
how long did you do that for?
I was in that for 6 years. I did about 6,000 hours on that little machine, and it didn't do my back any good. So I'm cautious of what I do there now. I then took on the contract, I expanded that, and I took on the contract with the council, and I bought the backhoe from the council, and that set me up. Instead of saying I was in excavation, I used to dig the grave, so I'd tell people I was the grave digger instead. Just be careful if I get a yellow card with your name on it. and then another.
How many graves did you dig?
Oh, I don't know. It was enough to get them right though. But and some were too short, some were too shallow, some. And I turned up at the cemetery one morning, and it was a Saturday morning. And Ernie Heinrich was the local undertaker, and Ernie used to get a bit excited. And anyway, I was told to dig a grave, and it was the third row, eastern side, third row or something, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and there'll be 4 stones on the site. So I went down and I dug the grave on the third aisle, not the third row, and I was walking back. And there I saw this, look at this card, it's got the same name, there's 4 stones on it. And Ernie turned up and it was 10 o'clock. And the funeral was at 11. And Ernie said, and he called me Willie. He said, "Where's the grave, Willie? Where's the grave?" I said, "Just digging it, Ern. Don't worry about it, it'll be ready. It'll be ready. We've got an hour." Oh, well, I said that. He was not happy. He was not happy. I said, "No, don't stress, they'll wait." And they did, they had to. So anyway, we had to fill the other one in a bit of a hurry. and I knocked this grave out in record time, and Ernie came back just before and he laid out all these little things and straps and the grass to put the coffin around and made it all neat and tidy. And I hid the truck and hit the tractor. I was sort of basically driving out the gate as the funeral procession was coming in. It was a bit close, but anyway, just like show business, you carry on, no one knows. So the little things in life, yeah, they were good fun.
Oh, that's good.
And then we had some doctors on a tour one day and we talked about the grave digging, and I said, "I used to work with you guys." And they all looked at me and I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I was one of your colleagues." And I said, "How'd go figure?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I was a grave digger once." I said, "I used to bury your mistakes." Oh, it's a great leveller. Yeah, we all work together.
What did your mum and dad think about how progressive you were?
Dad came off a farm where he couldn't see an end. He needed something more, and he always wanted all of us to go to university and get a degree in something. It wasn't going to happen, but that was his, and he pushed. But as different things grew and he could see that you were doing well, then he got behind it. But his original wish for us was to be educated and professional.
Well, now.
We're just professional now.
Not educated.
Oh, educated in life. There's so many different ways you can look at it. University education is wonderful, and I'm glad one of my children have it. But I wish the other two all the best in their endeavours and what they do as well. It's not the be all and end all. And I think if you look at the world and you look at the billionaires, self-made billionaires, most of them have never had a university degree in their life, and in fact most of them came from poorer backgrounds and left school. So it just depends how you look at it and what you want and where you want to go in life. I think if you follow your passions, life will always be good to you. Some people follow the dollar, but I'm a great believer that if you follow the passion, the dollar, it's like the pound and the penny. The dollar will always look after itself, yeah. That's my belief. I've met some quite highly educated idiots, but, every village needs one. One with a degree's even better.
Okay, we've talked about your excavation career and the grave digging career. What happened after that?
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
And you did that for 6 years.
Yeah, my back started giving up. I ended up with a series of medical appointments trying to work out what was wrong. I finally got hold of one guy and he just said, "You got musculoskeletal problems. Get yourself fixed up, sort all your stuff out, sell your business." He said, "You'll be in a wheelchair at 55. And
how old were you at this point?
I think I was just touching 30, 31. Yeah.
Mr. Wilson.
And you've got, huge debt, and, you're trying to run a business and your family. And so it was a bit of an issue. But anyway, stoic as always, continue on.
You must have been in a lot of pain.
It was, yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was just chronic. But anyway, look, it is what it is, define pain and define what it is. It means something different for everyone. But
and that's because you were operating the machinery and putting
well,
all the stress on
it had
your
no
back,
suspension. The little skid steer had none whatsoever. So you felt every jolt, and it finally wore things down. Yeah, I'm all right now. I've got to be careful with some things that I do, but generally speaking, I'm got a pretty good.
So you haven't been playing footy out?
No, there's some
tennis.
things I don't do.
Yeah.
I have the body of a lover now, not an athlete. And not a very fast lover, that is either. So I got out of that, and then I ended up. I worked for WSB for a while as a salesman. Hated it, absolutely hated it. I'm not a salesman.
Oh, I thought you'd be pretty good at that.
I was no good at asking for the order. I could talk, but I was no good at asking for the order. It wasn't me. And then one day, I was sort of in the wilderness from the excavation game. You're used to running your own show as well and doing things my way, and always have. I always will. And then I found an advert in the paper for a wool business. It was a local wool buyer here, Kevin Simpson, and it was a backyard job. It was a tiny little shed at the back of his house. So I thought, well, I can buy wool. Can't be that hard. I'm a wool classer. So, and I hadn't done any wool classing for quite some years, 10 years. Pretty easy.
Did you miss it?
I've got a passion. I love wool.
Yeah.
Yeah, still do. So I went down and saw him. We negotiated a deal, and he was selling direct into Michelle's. So we had a meeting with them, and they said, "Oh, we'll take you on and we'll teach you." And I thought, that's all right. So if I had $1 now for every mistake I made, and every time I got it wrong, and for every time they took a little advantage of the green boy, I'd be quite a wealthy man. So, but anyway, you live and you learn. So I worked with Michelle's. And we turned this little backyard business, doing 10 bales a week, into a multi-million-dollar 100-bin bulk class store, selling 150 to 200 bales a week.
What mistakes did you make when you were
valuation of wool, classing wool. Classing in a shed, you've got, say, 6 lines that you put it out to. Mm-hmm. And, I did 2 years of wool classing to get a professional ticket, but an owner class, a farmer, can do it in 3 days. So, there's that anomaly there, and they'd get it wrong. And then, so we'd buy and then reclass. But because a shearing shed, they'll class out into 6 different lines, their main lines, and then what they don't know what to do with, they'll put to bulk class. And that's where I came in. I was buying a lot of bulk class wool. You buy 20 kilos there, 100 kilos over there, 2 bales of it over there, whatever, didn't matter. And we'd then class that out into all the different bins. And then you got micron, you got colour, you got this, you got burr, blah, 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 blah. And we didn't have the the joy of throwing it into bulk. Oh, sometimes we did, and we'd let the big bulk class store in Adelaide, they'd have 400 lines. But that was 100 lines replicated over colour and style, and sometimes we didn't have that choice, so we'd bulk class that. But most of it, we'd class it all out and get a 3-bale line. And then by the end of that career, I was selling direct into auction, working with elders, and we were taking on small clips and doing it that way. It's a very successful business.
What did you do to become such a successful business? Because it took you, as you said, 16
like every
years.
business, it doesn't matter what you do, where you go, how you do it. You form a relationship, and there's one word that pops up, and that's integrity. You hold it together, and if you say, that's my quote, and you know you've got it wrong, suck it up. Suck it up. Classic. You know, I went out with a guy I know him really well, and I stopped on his farm, and he's shearing these lambs. I was distracted. We were talking. I had a quick look at his wool, and I put a merino lamb price on. And he came into the shed, and he's got 6 bales, 1,200 kilos of crossbred wool, half price. And I said, these are crossbreds. He said, yeah, I know, you looked at it. And I said, I did. I did. That one hurt. But to this day...
Because they were crossbreds and not pure merino.
Yeah, it was half price. Oh. Half price. So, yeah, I probably did, I don't know, a couple of thousand on that one. I would rather sit here and say I lost 2,000 than say I reneged on my word and took it the other way. Sometimes you got it wrong. That was just a valuation process. You didn't see it properly. So you could make a lot of money some days because you got it wrong. Equally so, you'd lose a lot of money some days because you got it wrong. And the markets, that was the hardest part of the wool game. We were susceptible to, there was a lot of unrest in the Middle East in the late 80s, 90s. Somebody had strap a suicide bomb to their chest, and it'd fracture markets. It'd spook markets. You know, you could lose money overnight, or the wool price would fall and not recover. Things like that. So we were vulnerable to a lot of things. So it was a roller coaster ride. We'd build our way up, and then there'd be a crash.
It'll be like the grains industry.
It's no different.
Yeah, exactly.
It's no different. And the hardest part with the wool game as a trader on the outside of the agricultural game was the government would give benefit and aids to the farmers because of fluctuating income, but because we were traders, wholly and solely tied to that same market and the fluctuations, we couldn't get those averaging of income over the years. It was this year's or that year what it was, and that hurt. Some years you'd have a really good year, taxman would take it. Then the next year, really bad year, and you had the tax from last year. It hurt sometimes, but all in all, look, it was good, but I got tired of it, and the wool industry. Dealing with farmers, you know, they come along and they'll call you a thief and they'll call you this and they'll call you that because we're all buying and selling in the same market. Some of it was friendly, some of it wasn't, and some of them, yeah, they could really take you down. They were quite, what's the word I'm looking for? It was bullying.
Nasty.
Yeah, it was nasty. And after 16 years for me, it finally got to me, and I said enough's enough, and I sold it.
So you worked damn hard by the sounds of things. As you said, there were highs and there were definite lows, like all business.
Yep.
Did it break your heart that you left the industry because of that reason?
No.
Okay.
In amongst all that, I ended up divorced. I was by myself. I was leaving home at 7 some mornings and getting home at 9. And the bookwork, the housework, domesticity, kids, etc. When it was over, it was over. I didn't look back. It was past. I still look over the fence every now and then, so I wish I had the cash flow. But I don't want to go back into that game. It was, I'd had my time. What
were your hands like? Touching all that
soft
wool.
Soft as soft.
I know.
Soft as soft. Yeah, ladies love them. And then the fingernails are as hard as hard. Yeah, it's quite amazing. The lanolin really toughens up your fingernails.
Really?
Never break a nail.
Oh.
Yeah.
Aren't you
Not
lucky?
that it worried me. I did try and explore my feminine side once, but, it didn't work.
So when you walked away,
Yep.
you sold the business to Daryl Andriski?
Yes.
And he changed the name to...
Complete Wool services.
Okay. Do you still own the building on...
No.
No.
No, I never did. So that's...
Is anyone going to do anything with that building?
demolition order.
Okay. One day.
Oh, look, the Mungindi Hotel, we were... it was full. It was totally full of wool. Out the back, we just had it filled up. And Mungindi complained one day that there was rats and mice coming out of the wool over into the kitchen. And we got this rather terse message that, they didn't want us there. I said, well, stop feeding them. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, I haven't got any food over here. They're coming over to you to eat, so you stop feeding them. They'll go away.
How did they take that?
Well, it was the end of the discussion. We didn't have any more.
What did you do after exiting the wool game?
I had 18 months off.
Oh,
Renovated
so you
the
should.
house.
Oh, okay.
Renovated the house. Got bored and discovered that I didn't have cash flow anymore because, I needed to get out. It was time to get out. I was in a little bus one night going across to Burra for a dinner, and the lady in front of the bus was, I was sitting behind her, and she was talking to somebody else and saying that she was going to sell the business. That was Heather Bradley. And I just sat on it. And a week later I rang up and mentioned that, and I said, are you serious? And she said, yep. I said, well, figures, please. I had them the next day. Tossed that around for a week, played with the numbers, put an offer in. That was it. Where we went.
So why? Why tourism?
I think I'm a natural show-off. I like people. I like talking to people. I think that I've actually found something that really suits me, but probably at a time in life when I'm good for it. There's an old saying, you're the sum of all of your experiences. So as it stands now, the wool game, the excavation game, the agricultural learnings that I had, a bit of viticulture, and as you drive around a rural district, this was this, that was that. And people are not only interested in seeing things, but they like the why. Why do they do it? And once I understood that, and that's what I mean, the sum of all of that experience came in. Oh, they do that because of this, What's that black crop? It's a pea crop, they desecrate it before. They do this and this, they do this for that reason and that for this reason. Where does it go? What do they do with it? And it's the why. And people get interested. And once they're interested, the questions come. And the more questions you get, the better day it is for everyone. Because, they just don't take home the views of the valley. They take home an insight and part of the valley. And they've learnt something for the day. And that's a lot of people are actually looking for that and wanting that. So, and I found myself just there doing it naturally.
So when you started, were you really busy?
No, we run hot and cold.
Okay.
Clare's a seasonal base. Okay. We haven't got the critical mass here to be running all day, every day. It's just not here. We're just at the moment looking at different things. And
so how are you supplementing your income, especially during COVID as well?
Government grants. If we didn't have the government grants coming through, we wouldn't be here. Simple as that. That's taken us through. Having said that too, you can always hang on a little bit longer when you own your machinery or your buses or your vehicles. I'd hate to be a start-up with and being extremely high geared. And I don't buy brand new. It's not warranted here. And it's just too expensive for the return on it. So,
So how long were you running Clare Valley Tours before COVID hit?
8 years.
8 years. So you're very well established by that stage.
Yeah.
You said government grants have helped you during this time.
Oh, indeed.
But weren't you driving trucks at some stage?
Yeah. I went back truck driving for Heinrichs 40 years later.
You still doing that now?
No, I did it for 2 months at the start of this year. They rang up last week, wanted me for this week, but I couldn't do it. That was good fun. Like we were driving these old shit boxes back in the day, old Leylands and Commas and everything like that. And, they were 17 tonnes and really, really slow. Yeah, it was good to get back in a big banger and, away you go down the highway. It was good fun for a little while. I don't want to do it again.
Why?
They'll work me to death, Heinrichs, I don't want to do that. They can do that themselves. Yeah.
So things started to pick up now that...
Yeah, things have picked up now.
Yeah.
So, it's looking a lot better. I've also invested in another bus. We were going to take the market a bit higher, get out of the budget market. I was never in it, but the South Australian market during COVID became a budget market. It was a very, very difficult, price-sensitive market, and I did lose work to other operators because of it. I refused to work for some prices. Back to integrity, what you'll do and what you won't do. Maintain your standards and value add to a product, but don't drop your pricing unless you absolutely have to.
It's hard to go back to what you were doing. It's hard to go back to that pricing once things improve.
Dare I say it, I don't want to sound snobbish on it, but we were getting a clientele. It was good fun, but it wasn't working. The viability wasn't there, and I started pushing my price points up. And the interesting part was the price point went up, so did the quality of client. And as I said, I don't want that to sound snobbish, but we had a far more interesting, curious clientele coming through versus how many wineries are we going to do? Where it was all about the food and the booze, or more the booze. And now we've got people who, so we do history tours. We do cultural sort of tours. We'll package and promote different style of touring, which is aimed at the more educated client. Does sound snobby, but...
Well, if it's working.
It's work. Oh, look, we'll work for anyone and do anything. But once again, running around in the middle of the night with a busload of drugs is not fun. And, I've been there with the best of them. That's fun. You've got to define where you want to go and what you want to do in yourself in life. And if something's not making you happy, don't do it. Simple as that.
I want to talk about the highs and lows of tourism. Can you recall a really challenging day, and can you recall a big highlight?
Oh.
A great, successful day, and you walked away going, oh, that was a good day.
Nailed it. Oh, you got me there.
Or even funny, or something that went disastrously
Some days
wrong.
you had to look. I had they're lovely, lovely people, but we got it wrong. I booked and organised a wine tour with a lunch for a group of concreters, and I should have booked a pub crawl. That went wrong.
Did you not know that they were a bunch of concreters?
Oh, well, I was given a brief, so I worked to the brief. Oh, we had it all wet. Look, it was amicable. It was okay, but yeah, it was hard work. The hardest days in the tourism business is when you get monosyllabic answers. Yep, no. You can't engage with someone, and you just, some days it is hard work, and other days it's just extremely easy. You get some local girls in here, in Clare, funny as a fit, and they'll know who they are if they're listening to this, but I bought a Kia, and first day out, and I've got my local girls in there. They've done 5 tours with me, and
they've done 5 tours?
5 tours with me, so yeah. Anyway, we're skirting down the road, down the back of the Skilly Road, and so Tom helps me. I had a Statesman, I just bought the Kia, and Tom was in the Statesman. We pulled up to say hello on this back road, and the girls undid the windows and all hung out, Kia! And it just went on all day, every day. All day, every day. And then we had the other little trip. We had these young girls came down from Port Augusta, and you're not supposed to say Port Augusta, but anyway, we want to go on a wine tour day. Okay, 19 to 22. So we got in the car, and what do we do? I said, well, we'll go to a cellar door. And I said, I'm going to pour a little bit in the glass and have a little smell and a taste. And I said, basically, it's educating your palate. And if you don't like it, tell the cellar door person you don't like it, and tell them what you didn't like about it, and they'll try and work out your palate and what suits you. So we got there. This one girl picked up the glass. She said, wow, she smells like shit. First winery, first class. And then instead of having a sip, went down like a shot. Blah, blah, that was freaking awful. You got any tequila? That was the start of that. We had a ball, an absolute ball. You know, I was old Grandpa Dave at the front. Oh God, they were funny kids. They were kids having fun. But yeah, it was a really lovely day. So I think the highlights. You can't put it down to one, but you can put it across that you meet a lot of people. And my game today is the wool game was about trading wool, and the compliments and the abuse that came with it were part of it. But this is about feel good. Hardly, some people get on a thing and they get a bit grumpy about something that's external. But most people that get in that bus, and I'd say 99% or the car, are out for a good day. They want to learn, they want to have fun, they want to celebrate whatever's going on, and you're just there to facilitate it. Yeah. And it's good.
You said earlier, follow with what you're passionate about, and the dollars will follow.
Yep.
So is that being done with tourism? Is there money in it?
Tourism is one of the hardest games I've been in. There is really good dollars in it if you get it right and you get continuity. The problem with Clare is we don't get the continuity, so it's okay. But you've got to be frugal. You know, you've got to put a bit of fat away and then live through them.
How can we improve the continuity in
Clare Valley? Okay. Interesting. When I first came into tourism, I went down into SATC and I asked for some help. And I went down there, you know, huffing and puffing and saying, what about Clare Valley? You know, you guys should be promoting us. And I was swiftly sat down and told the realities of tourism. Tourism Australia sells Australia. And they said, we're up against the five giants of Africa. The elephant, the lion, the tiger, etc. What have we got?
Oh, a fair bit.
Koala bear.
Oh, we've got the reef and the opera house and the
No,
beaches.
Yeah, but you know, do you see but can you see the difference? You know, the adventure side of the safari, we've got a cuddly koala. So.
Oh, okay, you're talking animals.
Yeah, so Tourism Australia's got to sell Australia, and then you know, Paul Hogan have a shrimp on the barbie, you know, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. Then they sell Sydney. Then they sell the states. Then they sell the capital cities of the states. Then they start selling the regions. And in South Australia, that's the Fleurieu, Kangaroo Island and Barossa. We don't rate. We're that far down. We're about 13 down the list. And then Clare Valley, where's Clare? We're the tiniest wine appellation in Australia. We account for 2% of the national crush as a grape industry. Okay, we take 20% of the awards, but we're not known. Now, the beauty about COVID is people were looking for destinations. So Clare became, we've done this one, we've done that, we've done something else. Oh, there's Clare, let's go. So we're up 85% on visitation during COVID, but it didn't transcribe into tours because it was a self-drive market and SATC sell as a self-drive. So that hasn't helped us at all. But what it will do is keep us there. Now, the international markets are coming back and Clare is on the radar because of that new visitation that we did see, and people are still looking for different things to do. So just at the moment, April's filling up with lots and lots of 2s and 4s coming in from New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, Western Australia. And it's really good. We've got 3 or 4 bookings in from overseas already. They're always 6 months out. So, but it is going to start happening. So I think Clare will be good. The other thing I think we need to do here is to become more unified as a destination body. We've got winemakers, we've got the CBTA, we've got the council, you've got the Main Street Traders, who else? They should all be unified. Bringing all those bodies together and having one voice and $1, with each one of those spending $10 as a marketing product. Let's bring the 5 units together and have $50. And you're far more effective, and then you can target your markets and who you want to bring in. I think that needs to be done for Clare.
Why do you think that's not happening, though?
Clare's famous for factions. You know, needs someone to pull it together and push it, and somebody who's really going to do it. Clare's compared to other regions, and a lot of people really love the feel of Clare, because we're family owned versus the bling of the Barossa or the 5-star attainment of the Kangaroo Island, But with that family business comes independence, and everyone seems to have a singular agenda and not a unified agenda. That's how I see it from the outside looking into it, and that's how I'd like to see it.
There's no plans to expand Clare Valley Tours to
No.
Clare Valley and Flinders Tours, or Clare
I've
Valley?
already done it. We've done Flinders Tours.
Okay.
We've been to Melbourne. We've been to Tasmania. I'll put a little one on for Kangaroo Island later in the year. I wouldn't mind doing Maralinga, West Coast. But yeah, no, we'll look at doing things I'll look at doing package tours 3 or 4 days into Clare Valley out of Adelaide. And I think we can sell those instead of waiting for the 2s and 4s to hop on.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think we can do that.
I understand you fly planes too.
Yep, I'm a recreational pilot.
And you were the former chairman of
the
Clare Aerodrome?
Founding vice and then former chair of the Clare Valley Aerodrome.
So when did you start flying?
When I got divorced.
It's like a midlife crisis kind of thing.
Oh, no, it was a couple of years after, and, I didn't handle it well at the time. Somebody said, oh, for crying out loud, go and do something. And I always wanted to fly, so I did. I went up to Perry and I learnt up there, and then I had a 12-month hiatus on that. I was flying a circuit up there, and I'd just gone solo. And the flying doctor was lining up on the tarmac to take off, and I was out over Perry, over the township. And anyway, he gave this radio call, and RFDS, blah, 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 I'm going to take off for Wallaroo. So I knew he was going to take off, and I knew he was going to head south. And he said, aircraft in the circuit, where are you? And I'd only just learnt to fly this thing, let alone talking the bloody radio. And I said, I'm out to the right. And I was at the right of him. He said, a little chuckle came into his voice too, and he said, that's wonderful. But he said, which way are you going so I know which way right is? and anyway, it was a bit of a problem because he was more scared of where I was. I could see him. Anyway, so I landed the plane and I didn't come back for 12 months. It took me 12 months to sort of get over that.
Yeah.
And either was, this life got in the way. And then I went back to it and got into it. And I remember them giving me the ticket and they said, well, here you go, now you can go and learn to fly. And I bought myself a little drifter aircraft.
That's a 2-seater?
Yeah, a little 2-seater. It was what they call a rag and tube aeroplane. So when you sat in it, a plastic seat, and you sat over the top of a what could be misconstrued as a aluminium irrigation pipe with an engine and wings bolted to it. So if you were at 5,000 feet and you looked down, you had an unobstructed view. There was no cab on it.
That's exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
It was fun. It was fun. Anyway, I nearly killed myself in that several times, and but I managed to live, and I went further and further with it and just got more endorsements, and I ended up doing a bit of mustering as well. Well, not mustering, stock spotting. I wasn't allowed to muster, so I stock spotted.
Why weren't you allowed to muster?
Because it's illegal.
Aerial mustering?
Yeah, with the aircraft that I was flying without the correct licences, but...
Oh, fair enough. Okay,
but that was... past the statute of limitations on that one.
So do you do a bit of that now, as in aerial spotting?
No. I just... I did my low-level endorsement. I did about 250 hours of that. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was low. It was, we were at treetop and we were working stock. Some of the country you saw when we got into was just absolutely beautiful. But I think my reactions are too slow now. So.
Have you still got your plane?
Yep.
So it's at the aerodrome?
Nope, home.
At home?
I'm fortunate enough to walk out the back door and go for a fly.
Oh, so you got a strip at home?
Paddock.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So, it's good.
How liberating.
It is, actually.
Going back to, I got divorced and decided to learn to fly. Had it ever been on your radar before to learn to fly?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it had. So it had been something that...
Yeah, Dad flew.
Ah.
And Dad was more of an A to B pilot, though. He didn't sort of really get into travel with it. When I said he first came to Clare and they were the only vets, they were travelling to stations and things like that doing TB testing. A to B, I used it for recreation. And it was great. And I haven't got my weekends now. They normally work, but there was a whole group of us. We went to Queensland, we went to Victor, we went to Alice Springs, we went over the West Coast. And we did a rivers trip.
Didn't you fly to go rouseabouting?
Yeah, once. I'd let my classes ticket lapse. My professional one lapsed, and I needed a new one for the wool classing business. So I had to go back out and do some rouseabouting, prove that I knew how to class. So it was out at Tommy Wackett's and Andrew Wackett's, and probably could have driven there faster.
Yeah. Start there at Freeway.
I'd wander out home and fly to work, fly to work 3 days. And I think I'm the only rouseabout ever here to have flown to work.
Well, you did say you're a showman, so...
No, I love it. Oh, look, it's good fun. It's just good fun. And, it's a toy, but yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Driving around Australia in a bus, retired.
You driving or someone driving you?
Well, if I can jag a partner, yeah. Bus driver wants a wife. Yeah, I might go on maths. I'll be the grandpa version. I'd fly through all those girls on there. Delete, swipe left.
Dave Willson, thank you so much for sharing your story. I just love chatting to people with such versatile backgrounds, and I just loved your story. If you enjoyed this episode, let me know. And if you see Dave on the street, ask if he's had much luck with his maths application. But in all seriousness, Dave, good luck with your future endeavours with Clare Valley Tours. The Voice It podcast is coming up to its 1-year anniversary. 19 episodes, over 8,000 downloads. Thank you so much for your support. A little bit about me. My name is Annabelle Homer. I'm a podcast host and produce podcasts for other organisations and businesses. I also run public speaking skills training sessions for adults and teenagers and record audio memoirs for families. So if you're interested in any of those services, let me know. Get in contact. Thank you for supporting the Voice It podcast. I'll catch you very soon.